Welcome in to another episode of the Stat Line. I'm your guy, Jeff the Stat Guy. This week, it's OU Hate Week. We're going to talk about South Carolina versus the Oklahoma Sooners coming to town. We got to talk about that and so much more. We'll be with you right after this intro. Spin it.
And he's not had a pass. Look at and he,
Technical difficulties. Give me just a second.
and he's not had a pass. Look at this. Fourth down. He's not had a snap. Here comes that pressure. Walks it up, looking for Kelly. Touchdown! Can you believe it?
You know who ran this up here, you feel me? Come on, man.
Welcome back. What up, Fanatic family, SEC fans, football fans, and all of YouTube? We in for another episode of the Stat Line. Of course, I'm your guy, the Stat Guy. Look, tonight, OU been waiting on this game all week. We're going to break down the LSU game from last week as well. Maybe let one slip away. Joining me tonight, starting off, I got my guy, Coach I. Let me get him on in here. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Hey, man, it's another week for some good football. I know you are waiting on this one. Oklahoma traveling to Cola, looking to get some get back from 2024. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Definitely. And already got some comments. Stevie G in the comments says, can I get a boomer? There's your boomer, me saying it off your comments, Stephen G. And then, behind enemy lines. Hey, if you're in Soda City, make sure you check out the State Fair. It might not be the same as what y'all got for the Red River, but I believe we put on a good one anyway. So definitely, if you come into the game early, make sure you check out the State Fair while you're in town. Man, let's start off. Let's rewind the tape. Did South Carolina let one slip away last Saturday?
I think so. I think they did. I think LSU, of course, is a good team. I think with Nussmeier not being 100%, but looking like he's getting back to 100%, I think you guys definitely missed an opportunity there. I don't ever blame the refs, but hey, it didn't hurt LSU that you guys, the fake punt. I think South Carolina shot themselves in the foot a lot with procedural penalties. When you're a freshman All-America with Josiah Thompson, you can't be doing those kind of things. Those are drive killers. I really thought you were going to score on that first drive out of halftime, take the lead 14-10, and then it would have really been a game. But South Carolina just had too many penalties and too many mistakes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you're not the team and you're trying to knock a team like LSU off, you can't trip yourself up. I'll be honest, I worry about Beamer's health long term. It looks like every time something like the fake punt happens, it looks like he's ready to bust a vein. I'm like, man, you're gonna have a brain aneurysm if you keep this up. But
bro, he was about to have a meltdown on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, and it's bad. I get it, but I told you Saturday night, to me, that didn't even matter. It was the drive coming out to start the second half with the penalty. We had 4 drives go inside of their 35-yard line, where we had 1st and 10 inside of LSU's 35, and we came away with 0 points. And you just can't do those type of things when you're trying to pull the upset. Obviously, Nuss looked a lot healthier than he has at any point this year. That throw up the sideline might have been the best ball I've seen from any quarterback all season from any team.
Right. Couldn't have handed it to him any better. The LSU secondary played sticky defense, man-to-man. The one thing I wonder, your running back had the long breakout run, and then after that, I don't think he got many carries. And I get that, he's not the starter, but you know how we think. Sometimes you just got to go with the hot hand.
Yeah, you have the redshirt freshman and Matthew Fuller, 72 yards to the crib, 2 carries the rest of the game. And that happened midway point in the second quarter. And it's like, so what are we doing? I think you got to give him a little bit more love. I don't see how, because it wasn't like, oh, well, we still were driving or something. Because it was a touchdown, then we went out back on defense. The next carry should have been right back to him. You reward him for the touchdown. And maybe that's just me and you having different thinking, but that was something that I was not pleased with. Obviously, you have big news coming out of Columbia on Sunday. Beamer's staying up till 4:15, calling and waking the AD up, letting them know it's time to make some moves. So you have Lonnie Tisdale getting fired, and then you promote Sean Elliott from tight ends coach to take over the O-line. But one thing to note is he has still been the run game coordinator. And so I wonder how much that affects. Obviously, I think just having a new voice for those guys, hopefully he can clean up the procedural penalty stuff. But the offensive false starts and holdings have been what has led to us being 3-3 to start the year.
Yeah, and I think that's what you see immediately. I think Sean Elliott can help with procedural penalties. As far as technique, knowing who to block, things of that. For those mistakes that have been made, over the course of the first 6 games, we probably won't see that improvement for another 2 to 3 games. But if you just limit the procedural penalties, that may be enough in a close game.
Yeah, we got another comment. Clem Curry jumping in here saying he'll be at the game Saturday. He's stationed at Fort Jackson in Columbia as a drill sergeant. First time getting to see his Sooners in person. Hey, man, first of all, appreciate your service. You already know how hot it gets in Columbia. I feel sorry for you having to be stationed there. I would die. But hey, man, we appreciate you. We hope you enjoy the game. I hate that it's a 12:45 kickoff. I would love for the Sooner fans, for this being their first visit to Columbia, to see and experience Willie-Brice at night and what it is and how special it can be. But obviously they'll get that chance because with us getting to play at home and away every couple years, we'll definitely get to experience Norman at night, and they'll get to see Willie B rocking under the lights as well.
Yeah, I would not just Willie B at night, but getting a chance to tailgate longer than a couple of hours. You get a early kickoff. You don't get to really experience the tailgate right outside the stadium, the cockabooses, all of those things. It's like you just got to get in, tailgate real quick, and then get in the game. So that's another reason why, in games like this, especially for teams that haven't traveled to the stadium before, it'd be better to at least have a 3:30 game, if not have a night game.
Right. And for the people that are going as well, I will let y'all know, please be prepared. It's going to be crazy downtown Columbia Saturday. Obviously, the state fair finishes up this weekend. There's also a march from the Capitol to the State House as well Saturday that is supposed to start at like 10 and go from like 10 to 2. So it's going to be down there in Madness as well. But you're right, though, the tailgating, first, I like South Carolina's tailgating, but I'm not as high on it as other places in the SEC. It's not Kentucky or Vanderbilt bad, but it's not as good as other places in it's not a Georgia, it's not a Florida, it's definitely not Ole Miss or LSU. That is one area that I think we could do a lot better is with our tailgating scene down there in Columbia. But let's
I feel you.
Let's go ahead and let's just jump into it, man. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. We're going to start off with the OU offense going up against that South Carolina defense. Obviously, you have John Mateer, who came back from the injury last week against Texas, got hit in the hand or hit the ground. The injury opened back up, started bleeding. Wasn't really the same after that, especially when he was running it. He was really protecting himself. Going up against the South Carolina defense that likes to get after the quarterback. What you seeing in this matchup?
So, yeah, I think South Carolina can get after the quarterback. South Carolina's weakness, we've talked about it, in ongoing weeks, is the run, stopping the run. The problem is OU's weakness is running the ball. So it's weakness on weakness. And then you got kind of, if you would say they have a strength on offense, it'd have to be the passing game. But South Carolina's strength is playing the pass. South Carolina has good DBs. I think Cisse should be back this week at corner. You got Kilgore. You got athletic linebackers. I know OU's going to try to use Janik. I think Connect. I think that's the tight end. And then they got, Gibson on the outside. They got Satania. I think that's where the matchup for this part of the game is told. How can Satania, Gibson, Burke, and Connect do against that South Carolina secondary? And can OU's line hold up against Stewart and company? So if I'm Oklahoma, I don't know, even if I can't get any rush yards, which you should be able to get some rush yards because, again, South Carolina's rush defense is their weakness. Even if I'm not getting rush yards, I still stay committed to it to make sure they keep more in the box. Because if you just let Stewart tee off on you, it's not going to be good for Mateer.
Right, and it's not just running the ball, but it needs to be true carries. Obviously, last week, I believe they had like 29 or 30 carries against Texas, but half of those were to Mateer, and most of those were probably not even design runs themselves. So, like you said, even though they don't have a lot of success on the ground, they're actually averaging a lot more than I thought they were. They average almost 122 yards a game on the ground. And so they need to try to establish the run. And even if it's not there, don't get away from it, because you don't want Dylan Stewart pinning his ears back and just see ball, get ball on John Mateer all night. That is just not a recipe for success. The thing I'm looking forward to on this side of the game is, can South Carolina limit the explosive plays? They've had a very bend, don't break defense for most of the year. They'll kind of let some teams drive on them, and then they'll bow up and get the stop. But against this OU team, the thing that broke their back against LSU was the 42-yard touchdown on the slant. You cannot have plays like that against this OU team that in their own right has struggled to score in the SEC. Because if you do, that could be the camel that breaks the back, or the needle that breaks the camel's back and puts you out of the game.
Yeah, because they do, like you said, the scoring from the offensive side of the ball, considering the weapons that they have, has definitely been underwhelming. I mean, I think Deion Burks is, human highlight reel when he can get the ball in space. Javonte Gibson, of course, can take the top off. Isaiah Satania is, kind of like the slot guy that can, make you miss and things of that nature. And then Connect, the tight end, is just reliable. So, I'm interested to see how they use him. I'm not that fond of the play calling, by Arbuckle, but that's just me. I think they should use their speed a lot more, like maybe some end arounds, some pop passes, get this South Carolina defense going east and west, because north-south, I don't think that's going to be good. It wasn't good against Texas. Now, Texas has a better front than South Carolina, but Dylan Stewart plays north and south. So sometimes when you have a fast, athletic DN like that, sometimes you just run right at him. As long as the running back makes the right read, inside, outside, then he can bust it open for a lot of yards, or at least, 4 or 5 yards here and there, and just walk the ball. They have to be content, I think, with walking the ball down the field when the explosives aren't there.
Right. And now with the Dylan Stewart thing, one thing we have seen the last couple weeks that has been very impressive and something I've been waiting to see is while he still has the shoulder dip as his go-to move when he's looking for a sack, he has started to add more into his bag as far as on the D line. You've started to see him rip and crash back in side on running backs, which he really struggled with last year because he goes to that shoulder dip, but it crashes him so far outside that it opens up a huge gap underneath them. And so seeing him now be able to kind of take that hard step and then slide back inside off of it instead of just going directly to the shoulder dip has been very encouraging to see, and has helped us a little bit in the run game, closing down at least that gap.
Right. Dylan Stewart definitely has improved his game. He's making more of an effort to be, a run stopper, not just a one-trick pony where he rushes the passer. So, but if I'm OU, you're still in the learning phase. So
Right.
I test that discipline. You know what I'm saying? Because athletes and DNs like Stewart have a tendency to rush up the field, maybe not hold their lane discipline. So I would test it at least at the beginning, and maybe you pop a play or two, and then once the defense is on their heels, now Mateer has 6 interceptions, 6 touchdowns. He can turn it over, but also make some splash plays as well. So.
And that's going to be what we're looking for from the South Carolina defense. Is we've said the last couple years, especially under Beamer, they like to play in chaos. They like the turnovers. They like the hectic of the game being back and forth and kind of sloppy and ugly. And so can we get this game into a chaos stage? And if so, I think it does benefit them. The other thing, since joining the SEC, Oklahoma has yet to score more than 2 offensive touchdowns in a singular game. Do you think they can get it done in Cola this week?
Well, I think they may, because I'll say this, if Mateer doesn't turn the ball over, then yes, I could see this game being both teams getting in the 20s. I think, like you said, South Carolina is going to need this game to start, to be in chaos. Some turnovers here, some maybe some wonky calls by the referees, and if it starts to go that way, that doesn't bode well for OU. If this is a straight up game where South Carolina doesn't get any fake, field goals, fake punts and punt returns and non-offensive touchdowns and things of that nature, I think possibly they could. Now, if they can't run the ball, then that streak continues where it's only 2 offensive touchdowns or less.
And so going from an offense that's never scored more than 2 touchdowns in an SEC game to an offense that can't just score no matter who they're playing, this South Carolina offense going up against an elite front 7 from Oklahoma. Man, give me your initial thoughts when you see this matchup.
Whew. Yards are going to be tough. Yards are going to be tough against this OU front 7. They get after the passer. They stuff the run, which South Carolina has been pretty decent at running, not like 2024 when they had Rocket Sanders and Sellers both, running for a lot of yards. So same thing with you guys. Even though they're gonna stuff the run, that's how the game's gonna start. You still got to stay committed to it. You still got to stay committed to it, because as of this moment, we haven't seen that, game breaker wide receiver or playmaker outside of Sellers. And you and I talked about this in the offseason. Sellers is going to have to put that Superman cape on. And I'm not talking about escaping the madness in the backfield just to run out of bounds 1 yard down the field. Like, no, he's gonna have to pull a 2024 Clemson type Sellers or Missouri type Sellers in 2024, because if you can stalemate the front 7 long enough for him to pass the ball, their secondary can be, give up some plays. The problem is, can you stop the front 7 though? Now, Sean Elliott taking over, there's going to be a couple of miscommunications here and there, but if the procedural penalties don't get you behind the sticks, you cannot get behind the sticks, or you might as well just punt the ball on second down.
No, I definitely agree with that. That's the thing. Can we cut that part out? I mean, And it wasn't just the LSU game. We had 14 offensive penalties against Missouri, 9 of them pre-snap. 9 pre-snap penalties in one game, 14 on one side of the ball in one game. If we have that kind of performance, I don't care who we're playing. I don't think we can beat anybody. It's just too nasty. So we'll see though. I'm excited to see what we're going to do. Obviously, we know Mike Shula is going to not shy away from the run. Shula's very pro style in his play calling. We know that he will do what he has to do. He's going to run it even when it's not working. We like to beat our head off the wall and be like, oh, let's run the ball on first and second down right up the middle. I'm interested to see if we try to add some screens, whether it be bubble to the wide receivers, some old school running back screens, and try to catch Brent Venables being over aggressive, because that's the one calling card for BV is he's bringing pressure from somewhere.
Facts. BV is bringing pressure from everywhere. Like one thing when he first started at Clemson that I definitely liked before he took the OU job back in the day, he said, I don't care if I got to bring 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm going to get pressure. So we know he's going to do that. I miss the days of the old school, and I told you this, the old school running back screen. You know what I'm saying? Not enough teams are doing that. It's more wide receiver screens or running back swing plays. But offensively, South Carolina has to have some pressure release plays. They have to alleviate some of this. Now, while I do think Sellers needs to be Superman, he still got to have some help. And you know what I'm saying? Like, he can't do it first, second, and third down. Again, the running backs are going to have to get tough yards. And the line, they got to give them some time. If they don't do anything, they got to give them time to escape the pocket. You can't have the edges crashing in and the middle pushed in on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Even if they can just force, you look at it with the edges, force everything back inside. Give Sellers that path to get out of the pocket and take off. Don't let the edges get blown up and take away all the outside space. Now there's pressure up the middle and he just has nowhere to go. He's boxed in. Like, if you're going to get beat, at least get beat back inside to where he has some room to make something happen outside. Obviously, we know they say it all the time. You hear players from opposing teams say it. He is hard to bring down. But yes. You brought up a good point. There were a couple times against LSU. Yes, he avoided the 6 or 7 yard sack. He got 1 yard. And so now it's 2nd and 9, 3rd and 9. Against LSU, we had 18 third down attempts. Our average yard to go was 9 yards.
That's going to be a tough one against a defense like this. It's tough. Like, me and you are always talking about coaches and when they start running trick plays, the coach is kind of like saying he can't do anything. That's actually, I think they need some of that Saturday. I don't know. They haven't ran many trick plays this year. If any, Beamer's known for that kind of stuff. Beamer need to pull out a couple of those this Saturday.
I will. The one bright spot for this offense has been our scheduled drive. The first offensive drive of the game is normally when we look the sharpest. And with that being the case, I've been saying it for a couple weeks now, we need to take the football. We need to take the football. You win the toss. I know you love the extra possession to start the second half. I don't care. I want to start the game out fast and not play from behind because if we can get the football, drive down and get any kind of points, the crowd is going to be electric for OU's first drive. And then if you can get a stop, it's just going to turn it up even more. And so, but now it's like you kick off. Yeah, your defense takes what could have been a touchdown drive for somebody and holds them to 3, and it's a win, but you've already started letting air out of the balloon. And then you get the ball and go 3 and out, and now the balloon's deflated, and it's like, what do we do now?
And to be honest, sometimes you got to change your spots. Like a leopard, you got to try to change your spots. You got to try to do something they're not expecting. So like on 2nd and long, like 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, of course, again, this is a good – this front 7 going to be all in the backfield. So if you take a sack or you get stalemated at the line in the 2nd and 10, typically in college football, and I think pro as well, 2nd and long is a rundown. It's because you're trying to get some of the yards back to make it a manageable third down. I'm not saying every single second and long. I'm just saying a couple of seconds and long. Let's try to change the pattern. Maybe instead of running, let's try to take a shot with Nick Harbor. I don't know. If you can get them into a defense, cover 0, cover 1, where they don't have a safety over top. I don't care who the corner is. I mean, we watched Cam Coleman get behind this defense time after time after time. It didn't matter what side he lined up on. Now, Cam Coleman is a much better wide receiver, but Cam Coleman ain't got Nick Harbor's speed. And he ain't got Nick Harbor's. He's tall, but he ain't got like Nick Harbor's, got more weight behind him. So I'd take a shot if I can catch him in the defense where they're sending 5 and they're playing man across the board, especially if they don't have cover safety over the top. Hey man, figure it out later. It's like a punt, you know what I'm saying?
And that's one thing that we haven't done a lot this year. We did it against Vatek and it worked. And I know the O-line has been, we thought it would take a step forward from last year and it hasn't. It's taken another step back. And so maybe that's why, but at some point you have to tell those 5 dogs up front, hold up for just half a second longer. Right. Let us get this bomb off. One time in your life, if this is the play, this is for the Super Bowl, I don't know, maybe it's a middle thing, but whatever you got to do, let us get this one hit off and see if it works. Because you have an athlete on the outside of Nick Harbor that you've been unable to use because his skill set, you need time to be able to use it. Now, you don't need a lot of time because Lenoris can put the ball 60, 70 yards down the field with ease. And eventually Harbor's going to get down there to catch it. But but that's even more of a timing thing. Like, man, I couldn't imagine trying to do the math in my head of, okay, well, he's got 10-1 speed. How far how far downfield does he need to be before I chunk it 70 yards and see if he can run under it? But if they can get the timing out, maybe you just take that shot, but you're taking it earlier until he's further down the field and you just hope he catches it or you overthrow him by 10 yards. Maybe that's what they still have to do.
I think the most important thing for the offensive line, again, they're going to be bringing pressure. First of all, recognize where they're coming from. Sometimes it might be simulated pressure. They're putting a whole bunch of people at the line. You don't know who to block. You should know who to block. That's another thing, I think Sean Elliott can't help with. Eventually, we don't know how much that's going to take effect this week, but knowing who to block if they run a stunt. But as far as the offensive line, they're going to get pressure off the edge. They got big guys in the middle that can do it. If they can hold up in the middle, allow Sellers to move up in the pocket, even if you're getting pressure off of the edge, Sellers is a good enough athlete, strong enough athlete to, those arms coming off the arc, hitting his bicep, that's not going to do much if he has a chance. But if you allow David Stone and I want to say the other, forget what the other guys in the middle, if you allow them guys to get pressure up the middle, it's going to be a rough night. Yeah.
Because, again, when he goes to spin out of there, there's somebody waiting outside. And it's like, even if he can get around that guy, now instead of you being 5 or 6 yards, he's probably 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And a 20-yard run nets you 5 total yards. It's like, man, this dude just ran for 2 minutes.
Right.
And got nothing to show for it. So.
Right. But, again, if they can block, again, it's not going to be every play, but on those plays, when they do create a stalemate, you got to hit those plays. You got to hit those plays for 5+ yards, and every now and then you got to at least take a shot for some chunk plays. You have to tell Brent Venables with the play that you do on the field, hey, we're willing to take shots. Back those DBs up, because if not, they're just going to keep inching up. And I mean, why would he back up if you're not even going to take the shots?
Right. So let's jump over. Give me a couple keys to the game for OU to win this football game.
For OU to win this football game, they got to continue to create pressure. They have to but not just create pressure, not just get tackles for. They got to get tackles for loss on Sellers. Like getting a tackle for loss on a running back. Okay, it was a running play anyway. But when Sellers catch the ball in the shotgun, it's already 5-6 yards deep. The key for them is getting Sellers to the ground. Hasn't been easy for anybody playing South Carolina, but getting them to the ground. The reason why LSU, you guys are able to stay in the game with LSU, me and you wanted Sellers to get more yards after he broke out of those, those tackles in the backfield. But the fact that he got back to the line of scrimmage gives you more life. When you get back there on defense, OU has to get him to the ground. On offense, somebody's got to be able to run the ball other than John Mateer, unless John Mateer is going to go Johnny Manziel. And I until I see it with my own eyes, I don't care what I hear. Till I see it with my own eyes, he ain't 100%. And 100% means he has no limitations. He's not worried about hitting the thumb, because if you watched him in the Texas game, even though he played, when he carried the ball in the hurt hand, so that all he would do is fall to the ground. He can't stiff arm anybody. He can't, you know what I'm saying? He can't brace himself with that hand. Now, if all of that's no limitations, maybe he makes some plays with his legs, but he cannot put the ball in harm's way. South Carolina will intercept. They will strip sack. You cannot put the ball in harm's way. So on offense, got to be committed to the run, cannot turn the ball over. And on defense, they got to get Sellers to the ground.
Yeah, so I'll add another one for offense. They got to have some explosive plays, some 20, 30-yard plays. I don't know how it looks for them with sustaining drives and getting points out of it. They need those explosive plays to get them in scoring position right now. And then on the other side, on the defensive side of the ball, I think it's just be who you are. South Carolina, while they haven't been great offensively, if you try to look at this game and go in licking your chops, trying to say, oh, we're going to break the single game sack record, or we're going to break the single game tackle for a loss record, if you're good as you are, just be good. Just be who you are as a defense. If they come in here and try to do something even more and put that on pressure on themselves, this South Carolina offense, while isn't great, has playmakers, and they will bust one, and you can get hurt from it. So on the other side, if South Carolina is to pull this upset, give me a key or two to the game for South Carolina to come out of here and stay undefeated in their lifetime against OU.
Create chaos, create turnovers, try their darndest to get a non-offensive touchdown, pick six, scoop and score, more likely a punt return. We already know, as long as he can, like, the guys up front on punt return have to block OU to hold them up a little bit to give him a chance. Because we know if he get a chance, South Carolina's great at setting up the wall return, and he can get to the wall, then he can take it to the house. I think those kind of plays are what you're going to need. And Sellers, of course, can't turn the ball over, but he's got to get more than 1 yard once he breaks out. He's got to make them pay when they miss. He's got to make them pay when they miss. Defensively, I say make them, to what you just talked about, make them earn their way all the way downfield. If you give them up explosives, which, again, we saw early in the year, Mateer's fully capable of getting explosives with his legs and hitting some big-time plays with his arm, make them work down the field. Because if they have to work down the field, typically playmaking quarterbacks get impatient, and then they start to make mistakes.
Yeah, you brought up turnovers. There is no path to victory if you do not win the turnover battle. And I agree with you. I think they have to score off of one of them, not just get them. And I mean, now obviously you get OU starts at the 20, you get a pick and bring it down to the 10. I'm cool with that. I mean,
that's a score. That's like a screen, yeah. A wide receiver screen is really a run game, play.
Right. Same thing.
It last year. That's how you guys jumped out on. You got non-offensive touchdowns. You got 2 defensive touchdowns, and then the third one, the guy intercepts it, and then he takes it back to the 9-yard line. That's just like scoring a touchdown. So you got to get those.
Same thing. So we need at least one of those. And then while I've kind of been okay with where we've been offensively, because I understand it's who we are at this point, Sellers has to show that he's who they said he was all offseason. And so this is the week I need to see 2010 Cam Newton.
Coaching-wise, for OU, Brent Venables has to be willing to pull Mateer if he's not 100% without limitation. I told you last week or before the Texas game, even though Mateer is a better quarterback than Michael Hawkins, injured Mateer limits your play calling ability. At least with Michael Hawkins not being injured, you can call everything you would normally for him. If Mateer is, hurt and he's favoring that hand, now you're trying to call plays so his hand's not exposed. For Beamer, take the points. If you are in field goal range, take the points. If you play, take the points. I know these analytics say that, you're on the 35-yard opponent's 35-yard line, it's 4th and 1, or a 25-yard line. Go for it. Take the points. Points are going to be in the premium. Take the points.
Yeah, I don't see either team running out of fireworks this weekend. We'll just say that. So look, man, we've been going. Let's get into it. Give me your prediction for the game. OU is favored by 4.5 right now, rolling into Willie B. 12:45 kickoff. What you like for the prediction for the game?
This has been a tough one, man. I actually thought OU would be favored by a little bit more, but I guess losing to Texas kind of, shakes things up. But I guess they look at it like us. They got an elite front seven on that defense, but the offense leaves something to be desired. You guys got a good secondary, but the offense leaves something to be desired. God, man, I wish I would know if we get the same material from Texas, dog, this is gonna be a rock fight. Give me South Carolina in the upset.
What you thinking for the score?
13-10.
So
South Carolina scores on a punt return and 2 field goals.
So you'll like this. Here's where I am for it. Look, this is I told you last week that we both thought that OU Texas game was a race to 10.
Right. I picked OU to beat Texas 17-7. I wanted to say 13-7.
13-7. Yeah. We both had it as a race to 10. This game is truly a race to 10. Give me the Gamecocks 10-9 with a non-offensive touchdown.
Listen, you said it earlier. To be honest with you, outside of watching OU's front seven and maybe Sellers on some scramble plays, this might not look like the best football you've watched this year from either team.
Look, I will watch every single play because I'm a diehard Gamecock and I love to torture myself.
Right.
This is not the problem. Is it? I don't mind a low-scoring game because You'll see good defense, you'll see battles in the trenches. This is not going to be a good football game. I think it's going to be sloppy. I think we're going to see turnovers. There's going to be mistakes. It's just going to be a nasty football game. But then there's going to be like 1 or 2 shot plays that rope you back in, and now you're on the edge of the couch again. But I don't see these two teams lighting up the scoreboard. Look, man,
I'll be honest with you. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised, regardless of who wins. Don't be surprised if both teams have a defensive touchdown.
I can say, yeah, I could. Now that is
easily. I feel like OU could have a strip sack, and easily, I feel like South Carolina can have a pick six.
Yeah. Now that's one thing for sure with South Carolina is unless the dude goes down to the ground when he's intercepting the ball, it don't matter where they are on the field.
They're trying to get to the house.
They got one thought in their mind, and that's that other ends up And is that a coaching thing? Is that because I remember in years past, South Carolina would get picks and just drop to a knee. Right. We got the ball here, so we don't fumble or whatever. But man, watching them the last couple of years under Clayton White, when they get interceptions, dudes are looking for a block, and they are looking to get to the crib. Doesn't matter if they're 9 yards deep in their own end zone.
Yeah, coaches are teaching. Defensive coaches, good ones anyway. They're teaching. Going after the ball. Sometimes some more than others. They're teaching and then they teaching football IQ. So if you got a high IQ player, depends on where you are in the game. If it's early in the game, you're trying to score. if you're up and the other team don't have a lot of timeouts and you do it in the fourth, then you take a knee, depending on where you catch the ball because you want to run the timeout. But I think South Carolina I think Clayton White teaches ball hawks, and he says, hey, go get me 7. Don't just get the interception, get me 7. Whereas, right now in Athens, we're teaching don't just defend the pass, go get the ball, because we don't get a lot of turnovers. So right now we try to just get turnovers. Y'all are trying to turn turnovers into touchdowns. I think it's step by step. The fact that you guys get turnovers. Now he's like, all right, took care of step 1. Let's move on to step 2. Let's get to the end zone. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I say, I would not be surprised if both teams have, non-offensive touchdowns and it ends up 13-10 or something like that.
I just want to see, end of the day, I want to see good football. It's going to be ugly, dog.
Nah,
just go ahead and prepare yourself mentally. Hey, y'all, we appreciate you tapping in for another episode of the Stat Line. We'll be back next week. Next week, Bama? Next week, Bama at the crib. Hey, might have something up my sleeve for y'all next week. So y'all get back in with us. But look, always around here, just remember, it's Go Cox!